Hello student. Today we'll discuss chronic penny model, which is one of the important topic of band theory. In chronic penny model, basically they have explained the behavior of the electron in a one-dimensional periodic potential. So, and he discussed the classification of solid on the basis of behavior of the electron in a periodic potential. He restricted his discussion to one dimension. So, first we will discuss what is periodic potential. We all know that the crystalline solid consists of a lattice, which is composed of a large number of ionic core at the lattice point. Since in the conductor or in case of metal, we have large number of free electron, so the positive ion cores are attached to the lattice site and they are arranged in a very periodic manner. Let the distance between them or the periodicity of the lattice is A. So if we want to discuss how exactly the electron move inside a lattice, according to them, if this is the site of the electron, then it moves along this direction, then it will feel the potential in this way. The potential near the lattice site is 0 and it increases to the maximum in between the two lattice point, and then again it decreases when it reaches near the next lattice point. In the same way, it fills the potential like this and like this. Since the potential felt by the electron is repetitive because of the repetitive structure of the ion core, so the potential is said to be periodic potential. If the electron is moving along the x direction, then we can write v of x equal to v of x plus a, where x is the distance of the electron from the core and a is the periodicity. This type of potential is called your periodic potential. Clear? So coming back to the Cronin-Penning model, if we redraw the potential felt by the electron, along x-axis we have x, along y-axis we have v of x. If this is the periodicity of the lattice points, then the potential felt by the electron is somehow like this. But this type of varying potential is very difficult to explain by applying Schrodinger wave equation. So in order to simplify this, they have approximated this potential like this, that the potential is 0 at the lattice side and it is maximum at the center having a constant value, and again it is reduces to 0 like this. So doing this, they have reduced this varying potential to a combination of infinite potential well and a rectangular barrier. So here this varying potential is now reduced to a series of infinite potential well with a potential barrier. So if you divide these two situation into two region, if this is region 1 for the potential well and region 2 for the barrier, let A is the width of potential well and B is the width of potential barrier. So we'll designate here. So this is your 0 to A and this is your minus B. Okay. So the width of the barrier is B and the width of the potential well, infinite potential well, is A. So if this is the case, then we can write the potential as V of x equal to 0 when x varies between 0 to A, and it is V naught when your x varies between minus B to 0. So here the potential is 0 and in this region the potential is V naught. So this is the height of the potential. Now we will define the Schrodinger equation. We know that the Schrodinger wave equation is d square psi by dx square plus 2m by h cross square e minus v of x equal to 0 into psi of x. So if we rewrite this in region 1 and 2, then it is d square psi by dx square plus 2m by h cross square into e equal into psi of x equal to 0, since v of x equal to 0 in region 1. Similarly, if we write for region 2, then this is d square psi by dx square plus 2m by h cross square e minus v naught psi of x equal to 0, since in region 2 v of x equal to v naught. So this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. Let us rewrite these two equations. So if we rewrite these two equations, rewriting equation 1 and 2, we have d square psi by dx square plus alpha square psi of x equal to 0, where alpha square equal to 2m e upon my h cross square. Similarly, d square psi by dx square plus minus of beta square psi of x equal to 0, where minus of beta square equal to 2m by h cross square into e minus v naught. So this is d square psi by dx square minus beta square psi of x equal to 0, where beta square equal to 2m by h cross square v naught minus e. So this is equation 3, this is equation 3 and this is equation 4. Now we have to solve this equation 3 and 4. Before solving this, we know that in this case the potential is periodic. Means v of x equal to v of x plus a. If the potential is periodic, then according to Bloch theorem, the wave function has to be periodic. So psi of x will now take the form ukx e to the power ikx, where ukx is the modulating factor and this is the phase. Similarly, for x plus a, psi of x plus a, it will take uk x plus a e to the power ik x plus a, this form. Since it is a periodic potential, so ukx is equal to ukx plus a. So psi of x plus a can be written as psi of x e to the power ikx. So let these are equation 5. So using equation 5, using equation 5 in 3 and 4 along with the boundary conditions of x with respect to psi of x, we will get 4 equations which can be solved with the help of a 4 by 4 determinant. Means if we use this equation 5 in equation 3 and 4 along with the boundary conditions. Boundary conditions means the potential, these boundaries, the behavior of psi at this point, at this point, at this point is known as the boundary conditions. So along with the boundary conditions and using equation 5 in 3 and 4, we will get 4 equations which can be solved with the help of a 4 by 4 determinant. The equation which we will get using this 4 by 4 determinant can be further simplified by putting the value of alpha, beta and an assumption that when your V naught tends to infinity, B tends to 0, so V naught B is finite. We will get the equation P sin alpha A upon my alpha A plus cos alpha A equal to cos K. So this is the most important equation, that is, let us label it by equation 6, where P is known as the varying power whose value is 4 pi square ma upon my h bar V naught B. V naught B is the barrier strength and alpha here is 2 me upon my h bar square under root. So now it is time to draw conclusion from equation 6. In equation 6, left side we have alpha dependent, in the right side we have k dependent. Alpha again depends upon E, so it is E dependent and RHS is k dependent. So it is basically E versus k curve if we plot a curve. So if we plot a curve using equation 6, then this curve, since in the LHS we have a combination of sine and cos, so the curve is a combination of sine and cosine. So this we will get when you plot a curve between P sin alpha I upon alpha I plus cos alpha I with respect to alpha I. Now in the RHS we have cos Ka, and cos Ka value will lie between -1 to +1. So here the value of energy of electron will lie between -1 to +1. So what are the conclusion we draw here? The LHS is a cosine term which varies between the limit -1 to +1, and hence the RHS also varies between this limit. This means that the energy is restricted between -1 to +1 only. If the energy of electron lies between -1 to +1, they are called allowed energy bands, and it is shown by the shaded portion. So here to here are the allowed range of energy for electron. Here to here again the allowed energy range. Here to here is again the allowed energy range, as they are lying between -1 to +1. But the value of energy lies beyond -1 to +1 are known as the forbidden energy band. So this is the forbidden energy band, 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 and so on. Another thing can be observed here. The width of the allowed energy band increases with increase in the value of alpha A, but the width of forbidden energy band decreases with increase in the value of alpha I. So as the value of alpha I increases, the width of allowed energy band increases, but the width of forbidden energy band decreases. Thus, the motion of the electron in a periodic lattice is characterized by the band of allowed and forbidden energy band. Now, if we discuss two important cases for this, case 1, when your P tends to infinity. What happens when P tends to infinity? Our equation 6 shows that we have P sin alpha A upon my alpha A plus cos alpha A equal to cos Ka. We can write this equation as sin alpha A plus alpha A upon my P cos alpha A equal to alpha A upon my P cos Ka. So when P tends to infinity, 1 by P tends to 0. So this term is 0 and this term is 0. So we'll get sin alpha A equal to 0. So alpha A equal to n pi, because if sin alpha equal to 0, then we can write this as sin n pi. So alpha equal to n pi. So alpha equal to n pi by A and alpha square equal to n square pi square by A square. Putting the value of alpha here, we have 2me upon my h bar square equal to n square pi square by A square. So here E equal to n square pi square h bar square by 2ma square. And this is the energy of a particle trapped in a potential well, infinite potential well or box. So what do you understand from here? When your P tends to infinity, then what will happen? P contains V naught B. So V naught B tends to infinity. So if this is our barrier and well and barrier, then the width of the barrier is so high that the electron is trapped inside the potential well. So this is the case of the insulator, in which the electrons are trapped in the valency band only. They cannot move to the conduction band because of this large forbidden energy. As the width of the barrier is very high, they cannot jump from valency band to the conduction band. Now case 2, in case 2, we have P tends to 0. When your P tends to 0, now equation 6 reduces to, when P tends to 0, this term is 0. So cos alpha A equal to cos Ka. So alpha A equal to Ka. So this implies alpha equal to K. Or we can write this as alpha square equal to K square. So this is 2me upon my h bar square equal to K square. So E equal to K square h bar square upon my 2m. Now K equal to 2 pi by lambda. So we have 4 pi square upon my lambda square, and h bar is h by 2 pi. So this is h square by 4 pi square into 1 upon my 2m. So 4 pi square cancels with this one. Lambda equal to h upon my mv. So we have h square by m square h square by 2m into 1 by lambda square is m square v square upon my h square. So we'll get half mv square. So the energy of the electron is half mv square in this case. So here when your P tends to 0, then V naught B tends to 0. So now the width of the barrier is very less. So the electron which are present in the infinite potential well can easily cross the barrier and reach the other side. So this is the case of the conductor where the electron can flow freely within it. So from this we observe that by varying P from 0 to infinity, we find that the completely free electrons becomes completely bound to the beryllium zones. Thank you. I hope a chronic Koenig model is clear by seeing this video.